What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Austin Show. Today we're looking at the Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series retro carded figures of Storm Shadow and Zartan. So we're continuing on with the retro line, and these are the Classified Series in the retro packaging based off the old like 3 3/4 figures, and so they look really cool. So we have Storm Shadow that looks pretty awesome. So it looks pretty much like the Storm Shadow we've had before. Again, just more in that classic colors and stuff, kind of like the picture you see there with the modern accessories and everything. So that looks really cool, and we can see on the back we have his file card and everything, and then the other characters from the wave we've already had, and then pretty similar with Zartan. So again, in the modern style there, and the artwork and everything just looks really cool with the same accessories we've had before. Like I said, just more in that retro colors and everything, which is pretty cool. And again, his file card there on the back as well. So both of these look really cool, and of course we've looked at both of them before, so we're not going to see anything really new, just the design differences, which will compare those figures. So I'll have to grab those as well. So let me go and get these out of this packaging, and we'll take a look at them together. So let's start off with the retro Storm Shadow, whose real name was Thomas Arashikage, which was a Japanese American that could trace his family history through 30 generations of assassins, and he's an 8th degree black belt in several different forms of martial arts, and served in the US Army Special Ops with Snake Eyes, and afterward he invited Snake Eyes to train with him in the Arashikage clan in Japan, and as we know, he ended up turning bad and works as Cobra Commander's ninja bodyguard, and overall looks cool in the all white. And we've had a Storm Shadow that looks pretty much just like this before. It just minor differences and changes for the retro again to make it look more like that classic figure, and I'll show you that comparison. But overall looks pretty cool with the all white gi design, so I love the like cut off sleeves and stuff, the Cobra logo in red there on it, the full face covering like balaclava, and you can see his face design looks like a scar down his eye and stuff there, so that looks pretty decent. Nice sash around his chest with some like shurikens and stuff on there, and then we get some wrappings around his arms. Then the white pants continue down to the wrappings at his legs that match his arms, and then has white boots with the toe design on them there. So boots just like the other one we've had before, and a belt around the waist with the little like dangly bit back there. So not a whole lot to him. He looks pretty basic, but I love the all white. It's all nice and clean and stuff. Hopefully it shows up pretty decent against the background there. You can see him a little bit better, but overall just looks good for Storm Shadow. But we can do the movements, so the head can twist all the way around. He can look down that far and up that far, so pretty good movements. And he should have the double neck joints, so one in the head and then one at the lower neck there, so with both those getting the movements back and forth. Then we get the shoulders that can come up to 90 there and have the butterfly joint and can rotate all the way around. We get a bicep twist and the double elbow joints that can bend up that far, so pretty decent, with the wrist that can twist around, and this one has an up and down flex. Then we go to the ab crunches, so has the ab crunch there cut out, so crunch forward, crunch back, so nice crunching really far back for him. And then he should have some crunching and twist at the waist, so yeah, he can crunch back and forth a little and can twist all the way around there as well. Then we get the hips that can come up to 90 and out to the side. Yeah, I should be able to do the splits with the drop down hips. We got to push back up in, a thigh twist that twists all the way around, the double knee joint that can bend up a little bit stiff actually, but can bend up that far. He can kick his butt. We have a shin twist at the top, and the foot can flex back and forth and twist side to side. So pretty decent movements, no really major issue and stuff. A little bit of stiffness and stuff here and there, but overall works out pretty good and no major issues. And he looks awesome, so good for this overall. Now accessory wise, he comes with a number of things. So first we get some additional hands. So we get a fist hand and then one with a shuriken there. So we don't really need that, but it's cool he comes with it. We do have a back piece that has the quiver full of arrows, the nice Arashikage logo on there. Of course, all the arrows, and then it also has 2 sheaths for his swords as well, so that's pretty cool. So let's go and peg this into his back. So you can peg it on there just like that and sort of sit at the angle, so the arrows come out that side and the sword comes out that side. And speaking of, we do get his 2 swords, so we have 2 katana swords. One's a little bit shorter, so it's probably like a wakizashi or whatever they call it, but nice cobra handles there, so cobra heads there at the bottom, or snake heads at least. So let's put these in his hand. So there, Storm Shadow has the 2 swords in his hands, but we can also switch them out for a bow and arrow. So we get a compound bow, of course, that fits with the arrows and stuff, and we also get an arrow that fits with it as well, and has a little holder here we can sort of stick it into right there, so we can try and put this into his hands as well. So there's Storm Shadow with the bow and arrow in his hand, which actually he can get in a pretty good pose. Like, I don't have him posed up exactly perfectly, but he can hold the arrow and go in with the bow and stuff there, so that works out pretty well. And I put it in this hand because, you know, with the quiver of arrows being back here, it'd be easier from the draw from there, so I just put it in there like that. And with doing that, we can also then put the swords into the sheath, so we have the shorter sword and the long sword that fit in there just like that. So those can be stored back there. So there's Storm Shadow with the bow and arrow and all armored up. So he has all of accessories and stuff except for his extra hands, but he still looks pretty cool there holding all that. And then of course we do have the older version of him as well that looks almost exactly the same. There's just a few minor changes. Of course, the first thing I see is the red on the arrows is different from white to red there. And then there's boots, like wrappings are a little bit different. They have more of like a gray tinge to them, and then have an armor covering there that goes down over the hand. So more armor and stuff there, but everything else about him is relatively the same accessories and everything else is sort of laid out the same. So they made it a little bit more white. This one seems more of a cream color compared to this one. So pretty cool to have the Storm Shadows. Like I said, we have this one, which, you know, isn't that much off, but it's really cool to have this retro one with the more all white color too and stuff, and just has more of that classic look. So this is definitely, of course, going to be the Storm Shadow we use most, but cool that you can actually get him posed up there. And then I almost forgot that they do also come with a base. So all the retros come with a base. So since he's a part of Cobra, he's got a Cobra on there, so we can pose him up here, and with him being in that position, he can be, you know, shooting the arrow and stuff. So that's pretty cool. So there's Storm Shadow on the base. Like I said, now he's all posed up and ready for fighting, and so that is pretty cool overall for this version of Storm Shadow. And then we have the retro Zartan, which Zartan is a master of makeup and disguise. He speaks over 20 languages and is an acrobat contortionist. And pretty famously, he can alter his skin color to blend in with the different environments. So that's why we had the old figure that could change like blue and stuff. And he's the leader of the Dreadnoughts biker gang that works as mercenaries for Cobra Commander. And overall, he looks pretty cool here. You know, very similar to the figures we've had in the past, especially the more like classic design one. But I assume this is supposed to be more the retro colors with like the blue and stuff, with the blue chest plate and blue down on his thighs, but everything else looks relatively the same for him. He still has the pretty much all bald head, and we get a headpiece that can cover it up and stuff, but the all bald head with the black there around his eyes, which looks pretty cool, the bandana there around his neck, and then his chest armor with the black up on the shoulders and gray on the lines going there into the back and continuing with the blue there on the back, which is cool. Some black guards there on his arms and the gloves and coverings and stuff on there, and then bare midsection so you can see his abs and everything, and then on his belly he's got the Dreadnoughts logo, or at least the skull with the ram horns on it, and a pretty cool looking belt around there with a sheath on the back, brown pants going down the legs and with that blue armor on it, and then black at the knees and going down on the shin guards with the gray color boots there. So the boots look pretty cool there, all in the gray and stuff, and overall just looks pretty cool and pretty decent. It looks, you know, like it says like a biker, as well as a master of disguise with the accessories he comes with and everything. So overall Zartan looks pretty cool here. But let's do his movements. So his head can twist all the way around, it can look down that far and up that far, so really good movements in the neck there. The shoulders can come up to 90, maybe hard with the shoulder piece, you can get out of the way, but if you push it down a little bit, you can get it up to 90, actually a little bit over there, and should have a butterfly joint as well, which actually goes more forward it seems like, but it can also rotate around. We get a bicep twist and the double elbow joint that can bend up that far, so almost all the way up on itself, so really good. Wrist can twist around and flex. This one he has an up and down flex. Then we go to the ab crunch, so up in there we got the crunch forward, crunch back there, so nice crunching as well as crunching at the waist and twist around. The hips can come up to 90 and out to the side, can do the splits again with the drop down hips, thigh twist all the way around, double knee joint that can bend up that far to the back, so not too far off. A shin twist at the top of the boot there, and the foot can flex back and forth, a little bit stiff but can flex there and twist side to side. So overall pretty good movements. Once again, no major issues or anything. The only thing I have is like the weakness at the like waist and stuff with the crunching there, so that's the only issue I kind of have with him, but other than that, you know, no major issues at all. It stands pretty easily and just overall looks good. But we got his accessories, so first we'll go and put his head covering on. So I always like to have him with the head covering there, it just seems to work out a little bit more. Of course, got to get his scarf worked around in there, so I just always like Zartan with the head covering, always seems to look a little bit better to me, so it sits on there like that. But then of course with his master of disguise, we also get the disguise face, and so if we put that on, it can help kind of hold the face on there. So if we just put it inside there and slide that up on his face, and you can sort of get it to work on there, so it just gives him a different looking face design. Doesn't really look the best, and just looks a little bit different. It's still, you know, dressed like this. No, it's Zartan, but obviously you'd have to be in a whole different outfit and everything, but just gives that additional face piece in there that you can easily just pop right off. But with that face piece, we also have the backpack that we can put it in. So like the backpack we've had in the past, you just pull it apart and it splits there, and then it has a place to stick the face in there. So it's just like a little storage backpack to hold his face, and then also, you know, for him to actually use it from there, like to pull any face he wants out. and then we can put this into his back. So it sits on the back there just like that. And then for weapons, first we get a knife. So this big knife, I love the serration stuff, and then the little finger hold and stuff. So just looks pretty decent with this. We can stick into the sheath here on the back of his belt. So it just slides in and stores in the back there. And the other weapon he comes with is a pistol. So we get this nice pistol design, which with the like hole and stuff, you can of course store it on the backpack if you want to like maybe slide it onto there. And I know the past figures come with additional guns and stuff, but let's go and just stick this into his hand. Well, there's Zartan with the pistol, which looks pretty good overall. And you can see he's sort of leaning there. It's hard to get him to work out because it seems like he's either crunched too far forward or too far back. So it's hard to get him, and now he's been all weird there. So that's why I said I have some issues like with the midsection in here, trying to get him to stand up just perfectly. And he's always kind of crooked and leaned back and everything. So it doesn't work out the best, but overall everything besides that works pretty good for him. So it's hard to just figure that out and have to get it worked out and stuff. But overall Zartan looks cool. And of course we have the older Zartan. We've had two other ones, but I just brought this one that looks mostly the same. You can see they just switched up the colors and everything. So overall pretty much the exact same figure, just switched out the colors there as I said. And just like Storm Shadow, he came with the base with the Cobra logo on it, so we can pop him on. So there's Zartan on the base there. So now we have him to go along with the rest of our retro figures, and we always keep him on the bases and stuff, so we have him always on like display or whatever. And overall Zartan looks pretty cool there. I love this design for him. I love the blue. It really stands out and pops, especially compared to the past figures where he's mostly just all in black and stuff, but overall he looks pretty awesome there. Well, there we have our retro Storm Shadow and Zartan figures of the G.I. Joe Classified series. Both of them look really cool. I love the designs and the classic looks and stuff. You know, this is what I would always prefer to have the Joes in. So these are definitely figures we wanted and we'll definitely have on our shelf on display and stuff. And just really good figures overall. So let me know what you thought of them down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this review, let me know with a thumbs up. I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you all stay awesome out there, and I'll see you in our next review.